April, you're making a face like you recognize this music.
Oh, I recognize it.
But you don't, because this is the song that is the sample for that. For your filth.
I used to skate to that song. Thank you.
That is Darkest Light by the Lafayette Afro Rock Band. And I just found this music out a little bit ago because several songs sample that beginning. But so if you didn't hear her talking, that's April. She's back on the podcast today with me. Yay, April.
Hi, friends.
With me and Jeremy. But I had a good question to start for April because she lit up when that came on. All right, but you're going to have to stay towards the microphone.
Oh, gosh.
I know. So you self-described, I don't even know. I don't even want to get into your business in the streets, but what song do you recognize from that?
Back to the Hotel.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. See, that's funny because I had never heard that song in my whole life until last year at an LFCA skate party, which is Little Flock skate party, which was real funny. But I recognize that from Rump Shaker.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, same. Maybe that is what I'm thinking.
It's both songs.
Okay.
Both songs sample. I was like, what is this new song? And they're like, this is an old song, but it's popular on TikTok now. So that Back to the Hotel.
Gosh, I'm so old.
Well, I was going to ask you, April, because we've had this talk with you before about your past. What was the big song when you stopped listening to your secular gangster rap those days?
So what was like what I started listening to?
When you stopped, like, because you've been out the game for some time. Because some of the things we've brought up in the past, you're like, I've never heard that song.
Oh,
like,
I know.
That's a big song.
Maybe Master P.
Oh,
Ice Cream Man.
No Limit.
No Limit Soldier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Master P. Ice Cream Man is wild. Well, this is.
Nah.
Yeah, he made him sing. And now he does lawyer commercials for Louisville.
I know. Yeah.
Which is okay. Also, I don't know because I guess my algorithm knows me too well. He's been showing up on my Facebook feed as suggested follow. And 3 out of every 4 of his posts are either Bible verses or about how God has given him strength.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't follow him.
And then the 4th post for each one will either be some kind of liquor that he's selling or some kind of adult gummy bears. I don't know how to
Pain relief.
No, marital gummy bears. Let's
okay.
And I'm like, what's happening? What is this page? It's wild. So who would have ever thought that arc of Master P from the 90s? Yeah.
Who
he
knows?
was big.
Yeah.
He was a No Limit Soldier. That was, listen, all that music.
Yeah, that was bad music.
It's worth a lot of money now. If you
Their
have those
albums were always the worst. Their album covers.
No, they were
like
so
it was
ugly and
always. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like them just on a tank, and it was just like, what
I
are
don't
you
think
doing
I
right now?
remember any of their album covers.
Oh man, well
They were all
always
like glittery and like wearing
Silk
on
the
a
Shocker.
tank.
He was
and they had
charging to the game.
big chains.
Well,
Yeah.
they had the No Limit tanks. Come on.
I don't remember that, but that's okay.
Listen, it was regional because people all over the country were not big into Master P, and that's like. I think that's more of us and south of here, but
Maybe, but I loved it.
oh, it was big. Yeah. Butler High School. That's
Nobody took Southern rap serious until Outkast. So then people started taking them serious.
Yeah.
But before then, it was all East Coast, West Coast.
Man, that and it's bad music.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you that.
Yeah.
I can't even listen to a lot of it now.
Well, so I have to tell my kids all the time, I'm like, just because you like something doesn't mean it has to be good. Like you can enjoy something that's artistically horrible, but if that's what you enjoy, just enjoy it and tell people. You say, listen, I'm here, I enjoy it. I'm like, the things I love, most of them are objectively unskilled, like bad. My favorite movie is bad. Like
What's your favorite movie?
The Wizard, about Fred Savage his little brother playing video games from the 90s. It's terrible.
I don't even think I've seen it. I've heard of it.
Jeremy made it.
I've seen it.
It's bad,
Yeah.
but I
not
love
good.
it. It's like an advertisement for Nintendo, Universal Studios. And it's
Now I'm
perfect.
going to have to watch it.
No,
Okay.
well, listen, I've got it on VHS. If you want, you can bring it over and a VCR if you need to.
Okay.
Well, so that's exciting. So April's here, and I had like a big opening question, but I think we're in the weeds with it with this Master P start. So that's good. All right, well, we've not been here for a while.
No.
There's been tons going on, mostly bad, but
Yes.
we did have Easter.
Yep.
We got a quick Easter wrap up for everybody. I know it's been probably 6 weeks ago, but any thoughts still? We had Easter back in the building this year.
Jesus is alive.
Yeah.
Way
Amen.
too many services. I mean, they were good. They were all full, but
Yeah.
just so many services. By the 4th service, I was just like, I don't want to hear myself talk anymore.
And that was Everybody else was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did peg a girl in the face with a full-size Cadbury egg.
You do that every year.
Yeah, but this one was, I felt bad.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
normally feel bad
Usually-
when I do that. This was like,
Okay.
she turned around right when it hit her in the face.
You got to keep your head on a swivel if
Yeah.
people are throwing stuff in the crowd.
I love Cadbury cream eggs. Those are the best thing ever.
You ever make
They
a
are
Cadbury
great.
omelet, get a bunch of them together?
Well, no, not that.
I'm just kidding.
But
That's
yeah, I was
gross.
going to say that
Yeah.
would be gross. But
Do you like a Cadbury omelet? Or
Oh,
a
so
Cadbury
my
egg?
favorite one was Eva Diano that comes here, and I'll tell her that I'm talking about this. She'd never had a Cadbury egg. So on the Thursday night service, and she's like a real, I think, kind of picky, finicky eater.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the Thursday night service, she took it and like she opened it and she put the whole thing in her mouth. And then she didn't like it. And so she didn't know what to do with it. And so I'm like looking over at her face. She's making like this awful face. And I'm like, that's a bold move, putting the whole thing in your mouth. Because she wasn't expecting there to be cream in it. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's called a Cadbury cream egg. So,
that's the best
Yeah.
part of the Cadbury
Yeah.
cream egg.
I can't say I've had one in 40 years.
oh, I love it.
35 years. Yeah, that's not my favorite. So you do like them too, Jeremy?
Yeah, I love 'em.
them. Is
Yeah.
the word. And
Yeah,
you?
that's me. Love them.
And the minis are better. If you had the
Yeah,
minis,
the
the
minis
minis
are
are better
great,
because
yeah.
you can just do them in one bite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I mean, some people, they do them all in one bite.
Barely, yeah.
Tried
That's
to.
like the only Easter candy I really care about.
Yeah. I like Easter candy in general. I like holiday candy because I feel like it's fresher because
Yeah.
it can't stay on the
Like
shelf
the
for
Reese
6
cups
months.
or whatever.
I like a Reese's egg. I like a Reese's Christmas tree.
Yep, I agree with that too.
But the rest of the year. And what was this brand of peanut butter things, Jeremy, that you just had?
Palmer.
Palmer.
So Palmer only, I think they make chocolate all year long, but they really get big during Christmas and Easter. Mm-hmm. And their peanut butter cups, and people are going to hate this, I think they're better than Reese's.
Oh.
So, but they're hard. You can't find them anywhere outside of Easter and Christmas. And their little chocolate crisps are better than Nestle Crunch.
The chocolate crisp. Yeah, it was chocolate crisps like a Nestle Crunch.
I don't
and
think I've had them.
a fudge-filled candy were also in that bag, but those got eaten because. And then I came back the 1 week I missed, and they were all gone except
were
those peanut
gone.
butter ones.
Yeah, I saw some in the kitchen. I think when I was making coffee, they must have been Jeremy's.
People were going through them, but
Yeah.
I mean that's what they were here for. They were very delicious and very cheap because I don't know if you looked at too much Easter candy this year. It was
Oh,
like
gosh.
$16, $17 a bag for candy, and those were
Yeah.
like $4 for the big bag. So next year I'm just stocking up, put them in the freezer.
Yep.
That's good. All right. Well, let me ask you something, April, because this is nice. Normally Penny's on here and we're having somebody civilized this week with us from a lady's point of view.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right, well, we were just talking about fast food, and you said you don't go too often to the McDonald's.
No, not too often.
All right. Well, where are you at with when they? So today I stopped and got my coffee, and I give them my code, and they say thank you. What do you say back to that?
You're welcome.
Oh, see, what do you say, Jeremy? Do you?
No, what's the question?
So I pulled in and I used my code, and I got my coffee, and they say, all right, pull around, thank you, and then what do you say?
Oh, I don't say anything after that.
Oh.
Sorry.
They say thank you. I say thanks.
Yeah, that's what I say, but that's a weird.
What's that weird?
I feel like because if we were in a conversation and I said thank you and you said thank you, it's like thank you. Like usually you say
just
you're
keep
welcome.
going?
No, I think it's like a weird thing because usually you say
Well, I
you're
think
welcome,
it's not
but-
though. Yeah, because you wouldn't say you're welcome because that's not a you're welcome thing. 'cause
No, I
you didn't
agree.
do anything. But I think in a transaction, if someone is thanking you for making the transaction, and then you're receiving the transaction, it's okay to say thank you back.
Well, that's fair. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very strange. I thought it
So
was
it's two transactions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I feel better about myself.
Yeah.
I was hoping it wasn't one of those like you enjoy your meal and then you too.
Yeah.
buddy. To the waiter. So, all right, we were just rolling through this list of things. So
I will say I had a weird one when I checked in my hotel when I went to that conference. The guy said, "Enjoy your stay," and I said, "You too." And I was like, "Well, you probably aren't."
Was this when you went to Florida without all of us?
Well, that's yeah.
Okay.
It was cold.
Yeah.
and that's what you get.
Yeah.
Mhm, exactly.
Well, hey, listen, I went to Arizona and it was not warm when I
But
was.
you didn't
for
go
work.
to Arizona for church.
But I'll tell you what I did do. I went to a hotel that as I checked in, they said, now before you say yes or no, we're going to give you the option to opt out because here are the list of things that are wrong with the hotel right now. And I was like, oh man, what? Luckily I was just going to the room and then going to work and then coming back to the room. So
Yep.
it was quite a few things, but the main one was the room I was in and the air conditioning came on. There was a weird smell and I'm like, guys, I can't stay in this room. The air kicked. They're like, really? I'm like, you gave me a list of 5 reasons I should use another hotel, I think. But they sent me to a better smelling room,
yeah, the air would definitely be one for me.
I
couldn't
don't.
do.
But yeah, all right. Well, while we have you here, April, how's Milo doing?
Oh, Milo's doing great.
Yeah.
I love Milo.
Yeah. How old's that dog now?
He's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my buddy. He follows me everywhere.
Yeah. And you still have the other dogs?
I do. I love them too.
And how do
but
they feel about Milo?
I don't really know. Milo thinks he's bigger than them. He
Yeah.
likes to bark at them, but I don't know. But I love my dogs, all of them.
Yeah, because I've never seen you post or interact with any of the other dogs in person, or
No, it's really because they're outside and big, and I'm usually inside. I'm an inside girl.
yeah.
I don't do hot or bugs or anything like that. So
Well, you picked the right place to live.
yeah, my husband picked
Out in the woods. Yeah, in Shepherdsville. That's good. Well, all right. So, and then real quick for the people who are not used to your voice on the podcast, how was your Easter tradition that you do at your house?
I didn't do it this year.
You
You all
broke
made
the
me
cycle?
feel so guilty that I
No,
did not
why?
watch The Passion. I didn't do it this year. I
You
said,
felt
no.
guilty for watching The Passion?
No, I said, you all made me feel guilty because I do it every year. So I just said, I'm not going to do it this year, Lord.
That's it.
I'm just joking.
Did you
I
watch
didn't
The
watch it, though.
Chosen instead?
I wanted to, but I didn't. No. I
What
was
did you
too
do then,
tired.
Easter?
I just did nothing, and it was beautiful.
That's not bad.
Yeah, no, it was. We had so many services, and
Yeah.
and just busy season. So I just said, you know what, I'm just going to relax. I did read my Bible though.
Good.
That's good. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like if you're watching The Passion, it's kind of, I guess, the audiobook version of the book.
They should have made an alternate ending to that.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, hey, and let's ask, and how would you have ended it?
I don't know. But it would have been fun if they would have.
Oh,
There's
Someone
the
say-
alternate ending.
Some would say the ending is just the beginning, though.
it is.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, they're supposed to make a sequel.
Yeah, the sequel's in the works.
Yeah, they need to just
Are you
get
aware
it
of
I
out.
did see that. Yes.
But what are they going to do? Now that like The Chosen's out and it's super popular, and there like another one that came out recently that was real popular?
There's a lot of
There's a lot of
Christian
Jesus stuff
media.
out. Yeah.
Like
That's-
David or the story of David?
That
or
No,
something?
but I feel like there
cartoon
was
was
another
popular.
one made about Jesus not too long ago.
I don't know.
The David one wasn't bad. I watched it.
The cartoon?
No, the one that's on Amazon.
Oh, I haven't watched anything
House
on
of
Amazon
David. It's not
because
bad.
Oh, I don't think I've watched that either.
It's actually pretty good.
we have Amazon with ads, and it's real hard to watch anything on Amazon because you're into it, and then they start telling you about Limu Emu and Doug.
Yeah, I cannot do anything with ads. I will purposely pay for the premium subscription.
Oh, this is good. This is good. We're getting places with you today, April.
I'm serious. I can't do it. It gets on my nerves. I'm already paying for a product. Like, I don't want to.
Now, so real quick, in the days of cable, you had that, yes?
Yes.
You got cable for free then?
No, we paid for cable.
There
of
were
course.
quite a few commercials, if I
But
recall.
I don't even really watch TV.
Oh, now
so
see, what you've got an argument for everything.
I do. I don't really watch that much TV. I watch Hallmark, as you well know.
Do they have ads?
No. Well,
Hallmark
they
doesn't
do.
have
They
ads?
do.
You have to buy
They
the
do.
Hallmark.
No.
Do you
They
have premium
do.
Hallmark?
No, they do have ads, but I save that, like I record it and then fast forward because I literally cannot stand
On your
ads.
VCR?
No, on my I pay for like Friendly. It's like a subscription.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just
Do Hallmark stores still exist? Is that like a
Yes.
thing?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah,
They used to be in the malls, right?
They still have one in
yeah,
the mall.
they still do.
But Hallmark cards are like $7 a piece now, so that's how they're staying
Yeah,
on.
you just go to Dollar General and buy the.
Yes,
yeah.
that's what I do.
Or
I
you
don't-
just write on any piece of paper
There you
and
go.
say, hey, happy anniversary to
Oh,
you.
you don't even do a card. Like I'm really
Yeah.
bad about that.
If
'cause
you do
I
a gift
can't-
card, you just write their name on the envelope.
Yeah.
Say, here you go.
I have told people in the past, I'm like, listen, I don't need anything for my birthday, but if you're going to put a card with it, just give me $7.
Yes,
I'd much
I
rather.
agree.
Didn't remember they used to be 99 cents
I know.
back in the day. Yeah.
And now there's like some even.
No, Dollar
$14.
General has them.
Yeah.
Dollar cards. They're terrible.
Yeah.
But it's just
Well-
a card. All you need is to hold your money or your little note.
Or better, you
Yeah.
just buy blank birthday cards in bulk,
Yeah.
and then you just
Yeah.
Well, I used to get like a $1 like Hanukkah or Kwanzaa card
Yeah.
and scratch it out and write birthday and
Do
stuff.
you remember like the whole industry of like the like risque cards? Like it was
Yeah.
always like women with large
Assets.
assets or like some
What is-
muscular guy. And it was always like, who was like, this is a great idea.
Let's make
do
a note
this.
here
Yeah.
for an edit point. All right.
Well, I'm just saying that's what the cards had on
Yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, you'd like be in the store and you'd be like, I'm getting grandma a card. And then you're like, oh, let's get her this one.
Yeah.
psych. I'm not getting grandma a card.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not my grandma because she's not going to be able to read it because she's in heaven. She can look. I can open it up and she can look over my shoulder at
There
the
you
store,
go.
and I'll put it back. So there's a good point. All right, so you have teenagers, and you
do.
have older than like your kids. And Jeremy, your oldest? She's 13, right?
14.
She's 14. Okay.
Oh gosh.
How is anything ever come on TV at your house that's just too awkward to watch with your kids? Or something they're watching and it's one of those uncomfortable moments?
So Elliot gets really uncomfortable with any type of like physicality between like a man and a woman or anything like that. So like even we were watching like Stranger Things, like whenever like because like two of them are like boyfriend and girlfriend
Yeah.
or whatever, like he'd be like, can we skip this? And I'd be like, whatever. Paxton doesn't watch TV, so like we really don't have to deal with
Well, that's
that with
good.
her. She hates TV, she hates movies, she hates all of it. So no, we don't really have to deal with that. Like I did let Elliot watch John Wick. So after that,
Yeah, well, that's
nothing really is going to
violent.
make you uncomfortable. That's what I told him.
Yeah.
Because Jamie was like, why'd you let him watch that? I was like, well, there's nothing really sexual in that. That's just him killing a bunch of people because they killed his dog.
It is very
Which I
strange.
would kill a bunch of people if they killed my dog too. So,
Well,
I mean, not really, but
I would.
yeah.
Listen, I get it
100%.
because I had a beagle like that, and I was
Yeah.
like, if someone had stomped on Grover, I mean, I don't think I'd do it, but I get it.
Well, Jamie was like, well, I don't understand why he would kill those people. I was like, his wife died. It was a gift from his wife as she's dying, and then they kill his dog. Like, and he's an assassin.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
the biggest point is he's an assassin to begin with.
I don't even know who John Wick is.
So
but there's that.
Keanu Reeves, so that picture of you at the gun range,
Oh.
John
There's a
Wick.
whole franchise
That
about
makes
and it all
sense. Okay.
starts with when they kill his dog, and then there's 4 movies that go after that because
He got out of the game. This is just
Okay.
like the first 5 minutes. He was a feared assassin, and he said, "You know what? I've fallen in love." And he got out, and he said, "They were like, okay, you're out." He had to do a bunch of stuff to get out, but they were like, "You're free and clear." He said, "Okay." And then his wife died, and before she died, she'd ordered him she'd bought him this dog, and so his dog was his best friend. And
So it was the start of a Hallmark movie.
kind of,
but
love
then
it.
these
it
guys,
turns.
they
It
stole his
turns.
car and they stomped on his dog.
It does turn.
And
that's not
over the course of
Hallmark.
like 4 movies, he probably kills 700 people.
Oh, more than that. He probably killed 700 in the first movie.
I mean, he just goes berserk, but
Yeah.
he just wants his car back. And they're all like, "We're sorry, we understand that you're shooting at us." And he's like, "I know, but I have to do this." And it's
He wants his car back.
well, they stole his car and they killed his dog.
Oh,
but
okay.
the real thing was they killed his dog.
That dog was and I was watching it and going, "Ugh." But we watched all those people get shot, didn't feel a thing, but that dog getting killed, I went. But so what is that about us as a country? Because like you were saying about the other stuff,
Yeah.
that I wouldn't let my kids watch anything that had any kind of like sexuality in it. But
Yeah.
if Addie watched John Wick, which she would not want to, because I thought about I love The Matrix, and I'm like, there's not really anything. There's not even any profanity. There's not much profanity in John Wick either.
I think too, like with
But just
John
shooting.
Wick it's so over the top that it's not realistic. You're like, even if he was a trained assassin, you're not killing that. I mean, like there's some parts of the movie where you're like, he just literally killed 200 people by him. It's like almost like Rambo. It's like just a souped up Rambo, maybe more aggressive Rambo.
More aggressive Rambo too.
Well, like his Rambo, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people that happens in John Wick.
Aaron
but-
loves Rambo. I've had to watch that so
Those
many
first 2 were
times.
good.
Yeah, but I would say like now if it was a movie about like a serial killer, like a real
Right.
person,
Okay.
I would probably not let him watch that because like you watch John Wick and people can argue all day like it was too much violence or whatever, but I'm like, but it's almost like comic book violence because it's not like there's no way that guy really
Yeah.
does that. But now if you're watching like a movie about Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that, I'd probably be like, no, my kids,
Yeah.
they don't need to be exposed to that. That's not,
Yeah.
because that really happened and that's more like, I don't know.
Gory.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
didn't answer. So with your kids, is there a time that it's just too awkward that you're like, hey,
They just don't really watch TV.
Man,
I mean,
y'all are the
kids
best
are like
parents.
TikTok. You know what I mean?
Oh, the
So
worst.
it's just
I'd rather
that's
TV.
far worse. But I don't. I mean, and honestly, if the TV's on, I'm watching Hallmark, and they have no desire, or they make fun of me. So
is it so like I guess, if you're at home and like the oven's on or the air fryer, you're like, oh, I'm getting a little hungry. But if the TV's on, they're like, ew, something.
Yeah.
Like that's just they were grown up with that appliance being on is bad news, so we leave because it's Hallmark.
yeah, we just don't watch. I mean, it's just we don't. Now, Aaron does a lot of YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and so they'll make fun of like his algorithm or whatever.
So
'cause
they
he
just
can't
make
keep
fun
up.
of y'all. That's
They
what
do.
they do.
That's
Okay.
pretty much what they do. They make fun of us. They're at that age where they know everything, and
Yeah, my oldest is at that age where she's starting to understand, where she's understanding things that you're like, oh, I'm sad that you're not my little baby anymore.
yeah, oh yeah.
And she likes Saturday Night Live, and we watch the clips on,
Oh.
and I was like, it's Roy. It's like it's hit and miss with what's great and what's like. We watched one yesterday, and I was like, was that awkward enough for you? And she goes, yeah, that was. I'm like, okay, as long as you're not like comfortable with that with your dad, that's fine. All right. So I'm going to leave the room, and you just enjoy sitting in that.
Yeah,
because
you like sit in it.
yeah, enjoy it. So, all right, well, we're moving right along with it. All right, so, I had this list of things, but like I said, we've not been here in a while. It has been 1 year since the flood.
Oh,
Since our last podcast, we've passed the year anniversary. So, April, do you have any thoughts in the last year that anything that, it doesn't have to be anything profound, but anything that you've seen or felt based on the recovery and just maybe your life and faith in general? And this is a big question just to drop after John Wick.
gosh, I don't know. I mean, it was definitely a hard year
Yeah.
trying to do church and work, and we were in the school and set up and tear down. But it was also cool to see people come together and help. There were a lot of, churches that jumped in to help and random people and, thankful for that. So I don't know that I could survive another catastrophe here, though.
No, that was a lot of talk of this better not happen again. 'cause
100%.
We're just going to get in that water and let it wash us away too, because
Yeah.
Jeremy, what you probably more than any of us have been through a lot in this last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't know. I don't really have feelings about it, which is weird. Like it happened, and you just move forward.
And that, I mean, April, I know you look like that, but this is why he's able to do a lot of stuff that he does, because he processes things that way, where I would be just in a constant state of all the time.
I agree, Paul.
Yeah, but I think you just can't. You learn from the past, you grow from the past, but you can't live in the past, and so it happened, and that's what it is.
I mean, that's a healthy way to look at it.
Yeah,
I think in a lot of ways, I hesitate to say it's been good, but sometimes you're at church or you're at work, or if you work at a church, you're just there and you get used to the same thing every week, and we've not really had the same thing happen week to week in a year, so it's been either, we're at the gym or we're here and there's, you're working around construction or a new room here, or we open a new room there, or the toilet's flooded because of things, or, just residual things from that. But there's never like I've had jobs before, you go to work and you just kind of put your feet up. You're like, I'm going to get through it today, and then I'm going to go home and it's going to be boring. And the last job I had before I started doing what I do now, it was like I had to be there for 40 hours a week, but I only did about 8 hours of work because there was no work to do. It was just an easy job, but it was boring, and you just got in and did your couple hours of work and then watched the clock for 6 hours. And that's not really kind of what's happened here for a year. It seems like there's always like something. So there's kind of some good stuff on that. So
yeah, it was a good year. It definitely, I think you sit back and you become more thankful and grateful, especially with all I love my welcome desk now.
Oh, listen, we were all a little bit, the conspiracy theorists, and a lot of us were like, maybe April is up to something because we got rid of that giant desk.
I'm grateful that we got rid of that giant desk.
If that giant desk had been on the Titanic, and that had flooded, we would have Leo saved, Kate, and like the whole band could have been on that big table floating out there.
100%.
If it would have floated, it was pretty heavy.
Yeah,
it would have sank.
All right. Well, so moving on, then we have a lot of April-centered questions because I knew she was going to be on here.
Oh boy.
So has Milo been interrupting any more workouts?
He interrupts my workouts all the time.
Yeah.
I actually took a video of it the other day to show Aaron. So
you're like, look at this. And he's like, honey, I'm at work. I do not need to see this nonsense.
No, they're like, yeah, he's obsessed with you. That's what they tell me all the time. So,
Jeremy, does Charlie ever try to does he get in it when you're getting after it at home?
No, but he knows. So like I have running shoes that I always run in, and if I put those on, he goes crazy because he knows. So I have to like hide them. Now, I usually take him for longer runs, but he's getting older, so like I can't run him more than probably 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah,
but I mean, you should take him for like 8, 9, 10 miles. But no, if he sees me put on those shoes, he knows something's up. So, but no, like he doesn't mess when I'm working out or do anything like that.
Well, that's good because our dogs are the worst. But now that we've never ran our dogs because we don't run, but we've started taking them on more walks since Butters came back, and they're not. I don't know. They would not make a 10-mile trek anywhere. I don't think either of our dogs. Milo's
dogs, like Charlie's the worst walker in the world. Like if you walk him, he's going nuts the whole time. Yeah. But when I run him, he's good. Oh, I think it's like they want to go faster. They want to. So like when I run him, it's not an issue. But when I walk him, he's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Well, we have a dog with long legs and a dog with short legs, and they can't go the same speed. And then one of them is sniffing and one of them's peeing, and every now and then the sniffer gets peed on because they're at different heights. And I'm just like, I hate taking y'all anywhere. And then my kids are like, can we walk the dogs? I'm like, are you going to pick up? And they're like, do we have to? I'm like, well, you're not leaving that out in the street.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But we do have a dog in the neighborhood. We've got a guy, and he walks one dog that is just the most well-behaved. And then you drive around, and the other dog is like a leash biter, and he gets the leash and just jumps and looks at the guy. But you got to walk him. But you just drive by, and you're like, this poor man, every day this dog just hops all down the street and just laugh and laugh. Well, so April, I was going to ask you because sometimes when you're working out and you're looking for inspiration and you think, man, that could be me. But have you all seen this little girl on your TikToks or anything that your kids might be into? Mm-mm. This little girl, Lucy, and she is 9 years old, and she's getting ready to do a 180-pound deadlift.
What?
She does not have the best form, which I would say the people online were correct about it. Her back does not look proper.
No, that's going to jack her up.
Yeah.
The way she's doing it.
Keeps doing that.
And it's questionable.
Ooh. Wow. Okay.
Can you, I know Paxton, she's a runner. Mm-hmm. Is she
she's strong. But
she's strong for like sports, like soccer strong, like you have to push.
She's little. Yeah.
Yeah. you all weren't these people though, right? You all weren't like you made her like you had her play soccer and play sports, but you weren't like crazy sports parents. Like you need to get there, and it's lifting day, it's leg day, it's arm.
No, but she'll start going to the gym with me this year because for high school soccer, she'll need to bulk up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
well, that's exciting that they're going that way.
Yeah.
What about your kids, April? Your kids, were they big sport people?
No, my kids hate sports. Like I was the like a basketball. I mean, up until probably 2 years ago. So now Benji is really into basketball. So is Jaden. But no, they did not. We had them in soccer. None of them liked soccer. Jaden wanted to play football. We said no, just because we didn't want to go every week or every day to practice. So,
not because of the head trauma. It was the
no, the head trauma was a big one for me.
But it was the practice.
But it was also practice, yeah. So we just, I didn't like that. So and then of course they're all into weights now. So they all go to the gym. Though. A lot of times we'll go together. So that's fun. But yeah, I'm not trying to live like that though.
I'm glad they found that on their own though. They did. That's good because then they won't put that on. Mom made us do this. So
no.
I saw that your son put you in dog mode in the car.
Yes. He's so extra with that Tesla. Yeah, he did.
It's really funny though. That's nice. It's a nice thing. Sports corner, as long as we're here. Jeremy, you're excited about the World Cup?
Yes.
Do your kids not care about, they don't watch TV, so they don't care about sports?
No, I don't even
soccer.
know what the World Cup is.
It's the biggest sports event in the world.
It's like the Olympics for soccer. Every 4 years, soccer.
Yay.
It's bigger than the Olympics. More people watch it than any other sporting event.
He's playing.
The world is playing.
The World. It's called the World Cup.
Well, I didn't know.
We are hosting it in our country, which is going to, I was going to say, a lot of people are going to be watching it on TV this year because apparently they're not coming to America because of various foreign issues, but also the ticket prices are
insane.
Have you seen, Jeremy? Yeah. Okay.
We were trying to get tickets for Charlotte. I think that's the closest one, and it's insane.
What are the prices?
So, like, if you go to Spain, the country is pretty small. And they have, like, if they had the World Cup, it's all kind of in one area. But in the United States, there's in Los Angeles and New York and Charlotte, and like they're all over. So it's a mess. The tickets, they start at like $350 for like the early games, but the championship rounds, like the later rounds, $10,000 a ticket.
Oh my gosh! No.
So it's really turning into like a debacle for if it's going to be on TV. Like it's going to be a lot of empty crowds, and it's not going to look great on us. But then I know y'all don't care, but. And I didn't watch it because of the various reasons with money, but the WrestleMania was...
Sorry, I said Charlotte. I meant to say Atlanta because I know that Justin will listen to this and be like, you said I meant to say Atlanta, but yes.
Justin Reynolds, instant correction. That's good. Sometimes he'll come back and be like, well, I was listening to my car and that's not right.
Yeah, that's why I would have said. If I said Charlotte, I was like, that's not right. It's Atlanta, isn't it? It is Atlanta. So anyway.
So WrestleMania happened and it was also not well attended as usual, or as it usually is, and tickets were similarly priced, and to the point that they were offering a bus tour for one of the guys. He doesn't fly; he rides around on a big bus. $10,000 for a bus tour with the guy, like going just on a ride with him and seeing where he lives, and it got me thinking: who are these people that have this money?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Well, it's like, did you see at Derby? There's a $5,000 mint julep. It's one drink. They make it it's like a handcrafted, like they say the price of it is because you're buying this cup. But it's like handcrafted. He only makes 1,000 of them by this like silversmith. It's like this world famous like silversmith, and they have gold on it and all this stuff. But it's $5,000 for a drink.
That is crazy. I will never understand that.
I'm fascinated with the term world famous silversmith. Like we're always talking about the silversmiths and who's doing a good cup this year. And you don't have to name names, but is there anybody in your all's lives that you think would have, not that they do spend that money, but have the disposable income for a $5,000 mint julep or a $10,000 soccer ticket?
Yeah, but they wouldn't do it.
Same. I know a few people.
See, I don't know anybody. I mean, maybe I just need to get better circles to run in, but
I know a few people pretty well that like money would never be an issue for.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Same here, but they wouldn't spend that.
They wouldn't do that.
The reason they have the money is because they probably wouldn't spend it.
Well, I mean, I feel like the people who spend that money on that stuff have the money and they're like, it's.
I would argue they probably don't have the money. They're just trying to do an image.
I mean, that's a big deal, I think, now too. Apparently that there was an article about all the people who they're trying to be Disney influencers and they're like practically living down there. And you're like, oh, this is nice. These people, their husbands must be doctors. And like, oh no, they're just really in debt by like 6 figures and making bad life decisions. So, hey, but YOLO, right? That's what we do.
Right. YOLO.
All right. Well, so then let's get into our religious corner then real quick before we get into everything. Have you seen the TikTok Scientology runs?
No.
I know Scientology. I thought it was pretty much dead. A bunch of the celebrities backed out of it, so I thought it was
Listen, I think those
I know
people.
Cruz and Travolta are still holding on strong, but
Well, yes, but if we had Cruz or Travolta here, we wouldn't be worried about too much. So we'd be all right. They are doing so. These kids on TikTok, and TikTok is bad. So April is a TikTok household.
Oh yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I try to argue this with Penny because she is pro TikTok when she's sitting over there, and I'm like, it's gross. But while I'm on Reels on Instagram doing the same thing. But so these kids are getting on their cameras, and like groups of them are just because the Scientology buildings are open, and they're like, hey, come back and do the testing or whatever. But these kids are just sprinting in and seeing how far into the building they can get because the buildings are so secretive and all the stuff they do is so like under wraps, and they're just filming it with like GoPros on their heads and cameras on their and just it's been a big deal. And like they're like, we got deeper than anybody's ever got in this building, and then all the people in suits are trying to they're like, we can't shoot. I mean, legally they probably could shoot them because they're trespassing and who knows what they're up to. But
what does it look like on the inside? I'd be curious to do that.
It looks like a library. It's so boring. They didn't get upstairs or anything, but they're getting into like the bowels of like the first floor and getting chased out, and to the point where all the Scientology buildings are locked now. They don't let people in anymore.
I've been into like the inside of like a Mormon temple and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen that, but I didn't know Scientology, like what theirs would look like.
Like if somebody wanted to know what was really going on here, and they just like burst in the front door and they got back to the youth room and like, we got it. And then they run out the back door and they get chased out. But it's become such a thing that they had to lock all their door, and they're, securing it now for the first time ever. But nobody's got any thoughts because nobody saw. That's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll have to bring it back up.
Here's it'd be a fun conversation. What do you think's in the Vatican vault? What do you think they got in there?
The Vatican vault.
The Vatican, like they have a vault, and there's going to be stuff in there that like.
Do they?
I bet there's yeah, they do. I bet there's crazy stuff in there.
I was gonna say I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah.
So.
What you know what? Oh, we needed David on here. He was just talking about being at Vatican City.
Yeah.
But I wonder like what are they hiding in the vault? Like I've thought about that.
When you say hide, maybe they're storing it there.
Yeah, but what would that be?
It's not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, what would you want to see?
The Ark of the Covenant.
I was gonna say the Ark of the Covenant.
You think
everything from Indiana Jones, the Last Cup.
Well, it's all in
the Last Supper
warehouse
cup.
In.
I want to see.
Well, not the cup. The cup didn't get past the border.
Huh.
I mean, I can't think of anything I'd want. But see, I'm not a fun person like that.
But what if they have like crazy stuff too? What if they have
what would be crazy?
What if they have like a mirror that can see in the past? Like what if that exists and they're hiding it from us?
He's so extra.
What if they have like a
mirror that can see to the past?
What if they have the extra Corinthian letters and they're just not letting us see them?
3rd Corinthians.
There's 4 of them.
Oh my goodness.
But we only got 2.
See, I was not aware that there were more. What do you think they say?
We don't know. Nobody ever saw them.
They're like,
Jeremy made it up.
No, I didn't make it up. There really is at least 4. There could be more.
Well, I would like to get into this. What possibly. So I've never heard of extra Corinthians. So how about that?
They think there's a lot of extra gospels that never made it out of the first century.
Well, so okay,
or not gospels, letters.
I was going to say that gets into.
Well, there are other gospels that never make it in the criteria.
They didn't make it into the Bible collection. So that's a whole other topic of things that do exist.
But we were just talking about Scientology and like what's inside their building. I was like, well, the Vatican's got like a vault. Like, well, what do you think they're storing in there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That they're not letting people see.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine anything that, like, what would you want to see? Because there's nothing. I was going to say, I am the worst person to go to a museum or.
So that's what I was saying. Would they see stuff that's like priceless? Like, let's say there really was like the last cup from the Last Supper, or like a piece of Jesus's cross that they know is Jesus' cross. Like that would be cool. But then there's also like weird, like dark, satanic stuff or like spiritual stuff that they don't want us to know exists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Yeah, I'm with you though, Paul. I'm not a museum person or someone you want to take to a museum because I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. So
they have little things that
I know, but I'm just saying like it's not.
Well, for instance, if there was like a traveling tour and they were like, hey, we have got a piece of the wood of Jesus's cross, you'd be like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what else is going on? Like I don't. To me, that has zero value to look at.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued as to that. It was just today that I found out they had a big vault.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is it stuff that would prove the Bible, or is it stuff that would actually be not good if we found out that it existed? Does that make sense? That's the question I'm asking. Not that the Bible's not true, but like stuff that would actually be
backtrack.
harmful.
We're gonna tiptoe backwards on the last one. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine. I don't know who would have access to it. Does the Pope get access to it?
Yeah, the Pope.
Do you think
because
so?
it's like the president, like Area 51. Like that's that world. Like not that I'm a conspiracy guy, but like
We've been on this plot a while,
But what are they hiding that they don't want us to see?
Yeah.
But it's to my knowledge.
Like,
and-
what does the president know that?
here we go.
What do they tell the president when they become the president that you don't get like
That's the wrong
general
button. Daggone
access for?
Well, okay. So I was going to say that is the thing that they say, like, presidents. They're like, what's the first thing you want to do? And they're like, I want to know about this. And they're like, well, they're not telling you that just because you're the president.
Yeah.
Like some of these like secrets and things, they're just, this is just this organization. And just because you're in charge doesn't put you don't get clearance for that because,
We have
loose
a
lips.
new neighbor that worked over by Area 51. So
But
we haven't got to meet him yet. I don't know. It just someone else in the neighborhood brought it up.
are they going to be coming here? Is that the
When they say worked, they sold hot dogs to the people outside.
Listen,
the
I don't
fence.
know. He's involved in some kind of government thing or was. That's where he worked. And he just moved here from California and he's our neighbor. I think California, maybe it was Colorado.
Area 51 is not there.
Colorado.
That's Nevada.
Colorado.
It's Nevada.
Okay. Well, it's
Nevada,
somewhere
This
right?
story, this story's falling apart real quick.
I'm just saying.
He worked at Area 51.
He
But
has
Nevada is
something
close to
going on there.
California.
That's
Maybe he commuted.
Yeah. But anyway, all that to say. So, but Aaron really wants to meet him because he's fascinated with that
Well, I
stuff.
think that kind of stuff. I mean, like I said, if I had got to peek in the Vatican vault, I'd be like, well, this is interesting. Like, just knowing something existed.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
knowing that like there's a piece of the cross, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I just want to know that it's there. I don't want to touch it or anything. I don't think that'd
Oh,
be
I think I would want to touch it.
real cool. Put it in a little box and hang it up in the
Yeah.
living room. Well, okay. So do you remember the people who? It seems like so many years ago, but it wasn't. It was less than a decade. People were going to run to Area 51 and do what they're doing at Scientology, and they
yeah.
were going to jump the walls, and they can't just shoot us all. And they're like, I think they can.
Yeah,
I
they
think that's
can. Yeah.
It never did happen, sadly. So
No, it didn't. I
Okay,
do
so
remember
just
that.
real quick.
not
about
sadly,
that
I guess the
vault.
people getting shot, but
It has 85 kilometers of shelves and containers inside the vault.
well,
What?
85 kilometers. So think about like a 5K
Yeah.
is 3 miles. So like that's how much shelving they have. So they've got all kinds of stuff
for us Americans, that's 52.8 miles, which is wild.
of shelving inside this
Of
vault.
shelving.
Interesting. So they have
And
a lot of stuff.
shelving and storage.
That's
That's crazy.
too much storage.
Yeah.
And they don't let people see what's in
I don't know
there?
who gets to go in or not.
Interesting.
Well, I want your neighbor to come.
You can't go in. I know like the general
Yeah.
public can't go
Yeah.
in it, but I don't know what all they have in there.
Yeah,
That's
I-
something.
But when they pick the Pope and stuff, it's all very secretive. It's all very
I know.
The
I
guy
watched
got-
a movie on that.
well. One guy got in trouble this year. Didn't he have a phone? And he got
Oh,
reprimanded.
I don't
One of the guys snuck a phone in and was I don't know. I don't like a lot of secrecy with my faith leaders.
know. Yeah,
I don't want a vault. We don't have a vault here, do we?
we do.
No, we have it upstairs.
Just
No.
joking.
We have it upstairs.
We have an attic,
We have all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
We
up
have
there.
5 kilometers of Christmas trees.
Yeah.
And
lights and
there's a toilet if you want
clothes and
You can find all kinds of stuff up there.
Man,
yeah.
you shoot. We'll switch it. We would say, hey guys, anybody from the Vatican want to come check out Journey? We can check out your stuff and we'll keep it under wraps. We don't talk about it. All right. That the frivolity is over now. And now it's on to the serious talk. And I'm going to have like a big chime or something here, big gong. April, I'm glad you're on here today because
Thanks, Paul.
listen, this is a topic I think is going to be, it might be hard for some people, especially in light of what's been going on lately with people we know and different things. But that's what really got me thinking of it. So when I was gone to Arizona a few weeks ago, which is a long time compared to the last time we had a podcast, but so we had a friend from college who she's my age and she's men Jeremy's age, and her husband passed away from cancer. And like he had like a year ago, he was fine. Mm-hmm. And they went on vacation and he got home and wasn't feeling good and went to the doctor and they're like, you have this. And they're like, well, that's bizarre because I was fine a week ago.
Wow.
And then he was just gone. And it seemed like he was getting treatments. And at Christmas, it seemed like it was going into remission and it was all clear. Like they were on the right track and he was doing all kinds of stuff like, and maybe it's just because she was being more hopeful online and trying to put a good face forward. But then he just died. And it was hard because, it's somebody that you pray for every day.
yeah.
And I started thinking about like that, like what do we make of unanswered prayers and things like that? Because that was just, it was just very sudden. And somebody that's our age, it's real hard. And it was just, I don't know. It's been a rough few weeks for me. And it's selfish because it's a friend from college that I've seen once in the last like 15 years, but it was still just like a real kick in the gut. So what do you make of the unanswered prayer conundrum, Jeremy?
Well, we made that up. We made up that's a made up term.
That's good. Okay,
prayers.
well, that was I did see that when I was doing
famous by Garth Brooks. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. So it is made up. There's no biblical language for that. So if we're going back to the source. So the problem with prayer, and we can get as deep into it as you want or not. So this is not from like a inspirational side. This is from a let's look at what we have been given.
Yeah.
So there are prayers in the Bible that get answered quickly. Mm-hmm. There are prayers in the Bible that take a very long time to get answered. And there's prayers in the Bible that we never get an answer for. The person's basically told no. So all three of those things are true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so like we don't want it we want it to be one or the other. We want it to be like God answers all prayers, or you just got to wait it out, or nobody wants the one where it doesn't ever get answered. But we actually have stories of all three of those in the Bible. So all three of those things are true. And so the question becomes like, what do you do with those? What do you do with those categories? And I think that, so a couple examples, one of the stories that intrigues me the most is in Luke 18. And that is the story of the persistent widow. I don't know if you ever heard this story. So there's a judge. So every time you read the Bible stories, there in the parable Jesus tells, there's a God character and there's an us character. Mm-hmm. And so in this story, he tells the story of this persistent widow that needs some help. And so she goes to the judge, he says no. So she goes back to the judge, he says no. She goes back to the judge, he says no. And eventually, after so many times, he eventually helps her. And the question becomes, well, what character is who? The judge is the angry judge. It's actually referred to as like an angry judge. And that's the God character. And then you have the widow that is she has to keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. And so it's this weird story because it's did she change God's mind or was it you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think part of that is people will go to that and be like, oh, you just got to keep praying. You just got to keep praying. You got to pray. And eventually, Jesus even ends the parable by saying if an angry judge or a mean judge or grumpy judge would do that, then how much more would your heavenly Father give? So people take that as if, well, Jesus, you just got to keep praying, and then eventually the prayer gets answered. Well, a couple important details there. Number one, it's a parable, so those aren't real people. And number two, when Jesus tells a parable, it's not always a clean, this is what you take from it. There's actually multiple things you can take from it. So that's just an interesting story about okay, well, you just got to keep praying and praying and praying. And then if it doesn't get answered, well, the reason is because you gave up, And I don't think that's really what the story is trying to tell, Another one would be Hannah's prayer. So if you read Hannah's story, she's grieving. She's going through a lot, and she prays and prays and prays and prays and prays, and nothing happens. And then in verse 18 of that story, it says that her heart changes. And so she gets in line with whether this is not going to happen or not, but she's okay with it at that point. And then it ends up happening for her anyway, which is an interesting thing that in this story, she was okay. What prayer did for her was she starts bitter, and somewhere in the middle, she turns to okay with it no matter what happens. And then she gets what she wants. Does that make sense? So it's kind of this weird, so I'm telling you these stories because there's just all these weird things you have in the New Testament. And I think this is honestly, and we've had lots of conversations about prayer, but I think this is where prayer really gets jacked up. We want to make prayer simple. And the reason we want to make prayer simple, and I've read every prayer book that everybody's ever handed me, and most of them aren't good. And the reason they're not good is this: we want to make it simple. And the reason we want to make it simple is because, especially in the evangelical church, we want to make it simple because we're selling a product. Mm-hmm. Now, it's bad language for what we're doing, but we're selling a product. If I'm selling you a product, I need to make it simple for you to understand. The Bible doesn't offer us simple answers when it comes to prayer. Yep. And people everybody's be read this book, read this book, read this book. And I'm okay, you're trying to simplify something that isn't simple. For example, so take all that I've said so far. So the story of the persistent widow. If the point of prayer is you just have to keep praying and praying and praying, and eventually God gets on your side or whatever, or Hannah or whatever other stories you want to use. 400 years, the Israelite people are in slavery. And the opening verses of Exodus says that God hears the cries of his people. For 400 years, they've been crying. And then God finally decides to respond. So, yes, that took a lot of time, and God eventually did it. But that's generations of people that prayed and died in slavery that never got the answer that they eventually get. So what do you do with that? I don't know. Then you've got like in the New Testament, so an easier example is Peter and James and Paul and Peter, all three at some point end up in prison. So the church in all three of those examples is praying for their release, okay? Paul and Peter get released. James gets killed. James is actually the first one that we see where that literally says the whole church. So like that's a pretty big number of people that are and very powerful praying, and James gets killed. Why did James get killed and the other two didn't? You know, like, so like when I say all that is, it is very complicated and it can be confusing and it's not as simple as what we think. And I think that the reason I started with unanswered prayers as a made up term is because we don't know. You know, you ask the 300 years of people that lived during the slavery period in Egypt, they would say God never answered our prayer. But then eventually he does answer the prayer of the people, but those people never saw that, right? Yeah. Well, why did God, he's clearly capable of releasing people from prison because it happens to Paul and Peter. Why didn't that happen for James or John the Baptist or any of those people? Because those were, I mean, Jesus literally says there's no one greater that's ever lived than John the Baptist. Okay, well, Jesus, then why didn't you free him from Herod or Herodias and you know, like, why didn't you do that? You know, so I think it's just very complicated. and I think that what happens is, and I think it's Eugene Peterson that talks about this, is we want prayer to be like this machine that we figure out, when in reality it's a mystery that we're stepping into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like in the case of this and me looking into it, they say things like there's no such thing as unanswered prayers. It could be yes or no or not yet, but it'll be, there'll be some resolution to it at some point. And in the case of like my friend's husband, the answer was just no. Like, it was just like,
and that's, you know, and that's what I've heard people say, like, that's why I brought up the first example of the persistent widow. We can see that it almost appears like there's times where, and I think Jesus is saying this, like, you keep praying, you're praying. I don't know whether you change God's mind or not, but you keep praying and eventually it works out. Then you have like, you know, because people ask the question, when you pray, are you changing God's mind or are you changing your mind? Both. Like, this story says that eventually she never gave up and eventually she got what she wanted. So that's a possibility maybe. But then you also have the example of Hannah, that herself had to change before anything could happen. Does that make sense? And so like the answer might have been no at the end of that story, but her heart had already changed to where she had become in line with whatever God wants, you know? And I think that's like all of that to kind of say, like, that's the point of, like, when you study the Lord's Prayer, Jesus' prayer, it's not a formula prayer, but it is a prescriptive prayer. And what I mean by that is the opening line is, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done." If you can't say that, then it doesn't matter what else you say. So like, you have to be okay with whatever his kingdom and will is. And then you can start praying all the other stuff. And Jesus even starts the Lord's Prayer by saying he already knows what you need anyway. So it's like, you know, when my dad died, like, we prayed for a whole week, right? God already knew we wanted him to live. You know, your friend, you know, like, God already knew that. That's not like the mystery. The mystery, I think, is, are you going to be okay with this, whether it works out in your favor or not?
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part. And I think that's why all three of those things can be true, but don't have to define prayer in and of itself. And I think the problem is we want it to define it. Like, we want it to either be, well, I just got to keep asking and eventually I get it. Or we want it to be like, oh, really what happens is God's mind doesn't change, it just changes me. And then there's times where it's just like, no, it's just not going to happen, you know?
April, you got any?
Yeah,
insights?
that's a loaded question. I mean, I think we have to start by asking what we think prayer is. Yeah. Because I think if it's just we're coming to God and we're asking for something all the time and we're kind of rubbing him like a genie, hoping that we get, you know, that's a problem. I think kind of going back to what Jeremy said too, a lot of it is just being in relationship with God and being okay with his will. I think that we also have to understand that bad things happen. That's part of life and it stinks, you know, but our hope has to be on the other side of where we're at now. And so I know that when my mom was actively dying of cancer, I mean, obviously I'm crying out for God to, you know, heal her. And I believe he did, just not in the way that I wanted him to heal her. Yeah. I think death was a blessing to her. She didn't have to suffer, you know what I'm saying, anymore. But I also say the things that really kind of help me when I'm wrestling with that, God, why didn't you? Why are kids dying of cancer? Why, or whatever? A lot of times the question of why didn't God respond comes when we're suffering, whether that's infertility or cancer or illness or whatever that looks like. That is usually when we're like, where are you, God? And so I always think about Jesus himself. God didn't answer his prayer. And that was a blessing because we wouldn't be redeemed if he did. So I think about like in Mark where the Lord is like, all things are possible, for you if you can remove the cup. Well, if Jesus or God would have answered that and, remove the cup, we would not have any chance of redemption. And so a lot of times we just don't know what God is doing behind the scenes. And so, yeah, it's definitely heavy. We know we're all going to die. We know suffering is part of the body. I mean, it says, in this world, you will have trouble. We're not promised an easy life. And I even remember my mom on the hospital bed, I don't understand why I have to suffer. And, I'm like, Mom, I wish I could give you a theological answer. I really can't, other than I know Jesus had to suffer. So there's something about suffering, I think, that for some people pulls us closer to God. For others, it pulls us away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's a very loaded question.
We're here hitting the hard,
Well, no, I think what April says is really good. I think that I think, like if you read the Psalms, you read David's, because they're prayers and songs is what they are. There is a lot of tension that never actually gets resolved.
Yep.
And I think we are uncomfortable. And that's why I said, I wasn't trying to be harsh when I said like in the evangelical church, but it's true. We don't like tension. We like it to be neat and easy.
We don't like hard.
Because it sells if it's neat and easy. And that's what I'm saying. Like, but the critical thinker in me goes, it's not neat and easy. There's a lot of tension points. And like, you look at stories like the John the Baptist story is a big one to me, because it's like Jesus literally says there's no one greater that's ever lived than John the Baptist, and then just lets him die.
Yeah.
And like John the Baptist sends people. So we talk about prayer. We're making our requests to God. John the Baptist literally sends people to Jesus to make their request, and Jesus says no. And doesn't actually come out and say no, but like in his answer says no.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you do with that? Like that's a tension.
Yep.
Like that's not like, oh, we threw one up to God and we hope that your friend makes it or they figure something out. This is literally face to face with Jesus. Here's the request. It's not going to happen. Like that is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like to even hear it for some people, like I've preached about before, that is uncomfortable. Like I've told people, it didn't matter how big John the Baptist's faith was in Jesus in that moment. Like it was still going to happen the way it happened. Yeah. I don't know why. This side of life, I don't know why. We may never know why.
Yeah.
That's the tension of not just prayer, but the tension of the story we've been given. And I think that prayer, it is this very powerful thing. I love the story of Hannah because it's like, I think that's where some of us have to get, like where she starts bitter and then she gets okay with it.
Yeah.
Then she ends up getting what she wants. So we're like, well, of course she did. That's why it's in the Bible. But I'm like, but the point of her being okay with it, even if it hadn't worked out, she would have been okay. And I think that's like that encouragement for us is like, are you going to be okay if it doesn't work out the way that you hoped?
Yeah, like that, but God. I always think it's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I know I said the name wrong. Yeah. Anyway, like our God is able, but even if not, we will not bow down and worship you. And I think that is where you have to be in your walk with God. Like I don't understand it. We're not supposed to know it. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and his ways are better than ours. And yeah, it's weird. I think about Paul, praying the thorn in the flesh, like he kept asking God to remove this, and God said, my grace is sufficient for you. And so I often think about like, there's a girl right now in Oklahoma. No, I think she's in Fairdale, and she's a young girl. She's Caitlin. She's dying of cancer. And she's at home, and like we've been intentionally praying for her at 8:00 on Sunday nights. And I just see her mom, and my heart just breaks for her. Like, how do you watch your kid die? I don't think there's an easy answer for that. But I do think that when you're actively in that, God's grace is sustaining her, if that makes sense. She's never going to understand probably why my daughter, you know what I mean? It's scary to hear those words with your kid for sure. But like just knowing that we don't see the whole picture. And I'm a big believer that God is writing our story every chapter. Some are good, some are bad for us, but we have to trust. And that's what faith is. Like it's stepping out when you have no idea what the next step looks like. So,
I mean, that's good stuff. Yeah. I think and this comes back, I feel like a lot of the issues that we talk about come back on here as, especially us in this country, like we're very self-centered.
Yes.
Like we are the main character in the story, and it's just not true. I mean, we might think it in our story, but really we shouldn't be the main character in our own story. So
Right.
just seeing that there's bigger stuff going on. And I mean, you should be able to take some kind of solace from a no in a prayer. If John the Baptist's message to Jesus is you get a no,
Yeah.
well, then I guess what I had going on is not really.
Yeah.
I think this is the hard truth because it's good. And I probably shouldn't even say this, but I don't know how to articulate it any better. Sometimes the question is why me
Yeah.
when we go through stuff, and the better question is like why not you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that sucks. I get it. Like I don't understand why it had to be me or that girl's daughter. But like we live in a fallen world.
Yeah.
We all sin. We all have, and yes, there's grace and redemption, but you know, it's that's why I said there's this tension with it, and I think that people have to be okay with that. And some people aren't, so they're just going to keep writing it off as nice and neat and clean. And you do this and you do it enough. And I do believe the persistent widow story. I do think there's times where you just keep praying and praying and praying. And I don't know, like maybe it does change God's mind, or maybe it does work out or whatever. But I also believe, and there's biblical examples of times it was just no, or at least it's going to be no in your lifetime.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's
like,
a story in the Old Testament, I cannot remember it for the life of me right now, but where he does plead with God to spare his life. And God's like, okay, I'll give you 10 more years. Do you know what I mean? And so I do think that we can change God's mind, but ultimately we all die. And that sucks, if I can say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's the reality. But we also have to know that scripture tells us that it's beautiful in the eyes of the Lord, you know, when his people die, because we're with him. So it looks to us like, oh, that person died. That's horrible. And that person's I'm with Jesus. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So we don't know it all. And I think that's what we wrestle with because we just want to know. I know I do.
Well, yeah, and I think especially like what he was saying, I mean, we like to think of like, this is our whole life. These are our plans. This is what we're doing tomorrow. This is what we're doing, you know, in the future. And this is what my kids are going to do. But if your whole story is you're just one of many who were crying out in the desert and then lived your whole life and then died and didn't, I mean, like you were really just kind of part of a much bigger story that
Right. It's not just us.
it's not about you. And I mean, it's probably, since this is a product that we're selling, we don't want to put that on the front door of the church, that it's not about you. Welcome to Journey. You know, that's,
well, and I
that's
don't,
not a
when
first
I say
date.
that, it's bad language. I don't think Jesus is a product.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but
I
get
think
what you're
that
saying.
we treat him
Like a
like
product.
that, like a
Yes,
product.
yeah.
And I think and so if you're making I got to make the pitch easy.
Right.
You know, here's why you picked an Android, and here's why I picked an iPhone.
Yeah.
They made it sound easier to us to use this one or that one.
Well,
you
it's,
know,
they said an elevator pitch. It's like
Yeah.
if you're in there for 3 floors, how can you explain
Yeah.
what you're doing and
Yeah.
get that person on board? And it's like,
and if it's complicated, then
Yeah.
I'm out.
And a lot of theology. I mean, I know because I come from a Pentecostal church, like you got bad theology in this country.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I mean, I remember being in a depression after my son was born and me going, I'm tithing, I'm praying, I'm fasting. Like, God, I'm not supposed to go through this.
Well,
You
and I think
know?
that goes back to the original point. Like, I think that some, and I don't want to pick on the Pentecostals, they take a verse and build a whole theology
Yes,
around
yeah.
it. And that's why I say, yes, sometimes it looks like people can change God's mind or get what they
Right.
want. Sometimes it looks like you're going to wait a while. And sometimes it's no. All 3 of those things can be true.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not one or the other. It's like, actually, no, all 3 of those things can be true. It's not our, you know, as much as we wish it was one or the other,
Yeah.
or like it made sense to us, it just doesn't sometimes.
yeah. Well, it's okay. We can pick on Pentecostal. I was raised in Southern Baptist
Yeah.
Church.
Yeah.
So on a scale of Westboro to Jonda, it's closer to the middle. But it was that kind of thing where it was like, here's a verse and here is your whole theology based on one verse. You're like, what about the
Yeah.
verse before that? Like,
Yeah.
well, don't worry. But no, that's what this one
Yeah.
says.
Well, it's like the whole persistent widow. I've heard people preach about that, and I'm like, but it's a parable. And I'm not saying there
Yeah.
isn't truths that come out of parable, but it isn't a real story of
Yeah.
a real person. Like
Right.
this is Jesus is making
Yeah.
a point in a story, you know, and so you have to take that into context.
Yeah.
Like,
And there
that
are
is-
several scriptures where
Yeah.
ask, seek, knock, and it will be given to you. If there are 3 or more joined together, you know, like, so you get these things, but like he said,
But then you get James.
Yeah.
So there's 3 or
Yes.
more gathered together.
Yeah.
They were asking, seeking, and knocking, and he still died.
Exactly.
You
So
know?
that's where I think but you do got attention, and you do
You have
got
to take it as a whole and,
Yep.
and work through it.
And also, I think at the end of the day, it's where's your hope? It is not in this world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so
Or it shouldn't be, for sure.
No,
Like, that's to
definitely
tell people
not.
that.
So now I do believe the Lord comes back and He restores and He redeems, and that's always my hope. Like He'll undo everything that was done that wasn't supposed to be done, if that makes sense. So
Well, now that we've got you on here, April, then how can we pray intentionally? Because you are prayer maestro. Is what...
No, I would not. would not say that. I want to say two things though.
Okay,
or
please.
Two books.
Listen, you've got a mic.
So
Let's
I
go
know
for it.
Jeremy says no books.
No, books are fine.
He didn't say no books.
No, I think books are fine. I think the problem is people hand it to me as if this is the answer
Oh,
that's
yeah,
going to fix
absolutely
it. No,
not.
books are good, but like, there's no one book fixes
I agree
the problem.
with that. So there is a book by Pete Gregg, if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
God on Mute.
That's actually a good book. I'll give her that.
Phenomenal
Oh, there you go.
book on what do you do with unanswered prayer. And he gives like, I think it's 15. They're not like set in stone, 15 and that's it, but 15 reasons, you know what I'm saying, why your prayers might not get answered the way you think. That one is really, really good. And I also love Paul Miller's A Praying Life. And he kind of walks through some of that as well. I do think Pete Gregg's is really good with that question, that specific question of what do you do with unanswered prayer? And I think a lot of times it has to be, you know, like one of the things I started doing about 1.5 years ago was just setting still before God. And when I say that, I'm not trying to sound super spiritual, but meaning like I am just being quiet before the Lord. Setting still, nothing, no music, no worship music, no nothing. It's just me and the Lord. And I think that brings like an intimacy. That kind of sounds a little weird, but I think about like, you know, if you and your spouse are sitting in a room and you never talk, that's weird. Do you know what I'm saying? But there is still a form of intimacy and just being together. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, God, I've done all the talking. What do you want from me? I'm not saying he comes down and
Right.
you know, gives me an audible voice, but he speaks to us through his word. So like one of my favorite things to do is pray scripture. You know, that's just the way I've always prayed. And so I'll pray with scripture, but I used to get tied up in it has to be an hour because that's what I was taught again in the Pentecostal. Well, if Jesus prayed for an hour, we can pray for an hour, you know, and it had to be this formulated prayer, but he just wants our heart. And I think it's okay to come to him and, you know, in the moments of course, gratitude, but also when you're mad and you don't understand, like, you know, like your friend whose husband passed away, like that's tough. I remember my father-in-law passing away and just dropping to the floor. Like, why? You know, be honest with God. He can handle it. You know what I mean? So, and I will always say that, you know, when you're wrestling with God and you don't have an answer, like for me, I know Jeremy will probably laugh at me, but I love worship music. I will put it on and it just, it does something to my heart. You know what I mean? So I would always say, start small, be authentic and real. So, and if you don't know what to pray.
And I think that's very much in the Hannah vein of like, even though I don't do worship music, I mean, there's science behind it.
Yeah.
Like what's the difference between breathing meditations and what's the other thing? Mindfulness and prayer. Really not. And actually we can see in our brains, they're kind of doing the same thing. And so like, yes, we pray because we want something, but also prayer is for us to settle ourselves, calm our souls. And so whatever you have to do, whether that's, you know, sitting, being still, listening to music, like, yeah, that's like whatever you got to do to get your inside okay. Do it.
Yeah. Sit in nature, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, we kind of had this talk a few episodes ago about there's so much noise everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, like, I drive all day, but like picking up kids and going just all over town. And it's, you know, sometimes you just turn off everything and just try to, I don't know, just be in the silence with God, because otherwise there's not silence anymore. And it sounds like an old person when I talk to our kids about it, but I'm like, there used to be a time where you would go places and there wasn't music playing and you didn't have headphones in and there wasn't, you know, just constant everything. And now you're just bombarded by everything all the time and you don't even realize it.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I was at Main Event Sunday afternoon for a birthday party and it was, I just sat down and I was like, this is why kids have so much trouble, because there were like 12 TVs above the bowling alley and there were 3 different shows going, but like alternating 3 different sports going. Every set of pins had flashing lights on them.
Yeah.
There's music playing. There's, you know, I was like, this is just so overstimulating. And the kids don't even notice because that's just the world they live in. Like if silence is weird to them.
It is. Yeah. And you're overstimulated and then they can't sit still. It's go, 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 go. And I'm like that. I'm not a person that likes to sit still. So like when I read John Mark Comer's book, Practicing the Way, and just kind of learning, you know what I'm saying, how to just sit still. It was a blessing. And I think the first few times I did it, I'm not a crier, but I cried.
Yeah.
It was just a weird, like, okay, Lord, what are you doing here? That's probably more my Pentecostal side, but that's me.
Oh, I don't know. I think sometimes, and I mean, I don't want to put too much of myself out there, but sometimes you just have all that going on to keep yourself from your own emotions, because if you shut it all down, you're afraid of what would be there.
100%. And that's what solitude does. It definitely,
yeah.
you have to think.
we've lost Jeremy. He had an important meeting to get to. But April, it has been a delight having you on.
Thank you, friend. It's been nice.
And I don't really have any big clothes. That's the big issue we always have, is there's no big clothes. So I guess, everybody, we will catch you on the next episode. Penny will probably be back, and April will come back at some point, I'm sure. And before you go, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm not answering that. He's doing this on purpose because I hate politics.
No, I'm cutting that. I was just giving you a hard time all the way out there. All right, April, I love you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, friend.
Sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. Remember when you're talking to the man upstairs, and just because he may not answer doesn't mean he don't care. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered. Some of God's greatest gifts are all too all but unanswered. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Are unanswered prayers. Are unanswered prayers.
All right, shut them down.